Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're going to get started. I am Jerome Franks, President of CFA Society of the Bahamas. Thank you all for joining us this evening as we begin our annual financial literacy series. This series comprises of 4 seminars covering the topics savings, budgeting, investing, home ownership, and cryptocurrency. This year is a bit different in our delivery. The first 3 seminars will be virtual via Zoom, and the 4th seminar on cryptocurrency will be virtual as well as in person at Crypto Isle, which is the old Luciano's. So you'll have the option of attending that one via Zoom or in person. The Crypto Isle one will be twofold. We'll first have the presentation on cryptocurrency, which will have a limited seating, and then we'll have a networking part after the seminar, which will have a much larger capacity for persons to attend. So you could choose to attend either part or both. The idea is to close the series this year by continuing the conversations in person on either cryptocurrency or any of the other topics that we'll discuss during the series. We want to facilitate an environment where we can learn from each other, as well as to socialize and to network. Obviously with COVID, a lot of our events being virtual, we haven't really done much in person lately. So that is a good opportunity. We're partnering, like I said, with Crypto Isle to host that. So we're still working on the details. As they become more crystallized, we'll keep you guys informed via email or social media platforms. We'll keep you guys posted on what we do with that. Okay. So for today's seminar, I'll get us started. I'll introduce our organization and then the speaker. Once the speaker is finished with our presentation, if there's something in particular not covered or that you have a question on, you can submit your questions directly to the host using the chat feature in Zoom, or you can raise your hand and ask a question directly to the speaker. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. For those of you who are new to CFA Society of the Bahamas, we are an organization of financial and investment professionals. We generally hold or are pursuing the Charter Financial Analyst or CFA Charter. Our members are among some of the top financial and investment professionals within the country and in the world. For more information on the society or the CFA designation, please feel free to visit our website, cfasociety.org/Bahamas. So our speaker for today is Anishka Colley, and she will be discussing the topic saving, budgeting, and retirement, how to safeguard your future. Ms. Colley is a certified public accountant, a certified internal auditor. She is the CEO and principal consultant at ATC Financial Advisors and Consultants. She has over 20 years of experience in external auditing, internal audit, and corporate governance, enterprise risk management, and internal controls. She is also well experienced in financial planning, consulting, financial process remediation, and business process reviews. She focuses on clients in the financial services industry and has presented at numerous accounting and auditing training seminars. So we welcome you, Ms. Colley, and thank you for joining us here this evening. And over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Jerome, and thank you, CFA, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. As Jerome mentioned, we're going to talk about saving, budgeting, and retirement, how to safeguard your future. So what is a budget? A budget is nothing more than a breakdown or plan of how much money you have coming in and where that money goes. If you look at the pie chart at the right, You could see various places where people spend their money. They could spend their money on food, clothing, rent, or mortgage. They may save some of their money, and some of their money may just be spent in miscellaneous. And what we want to do today is for you to clearly identify that miscellaneous portion of the pie. You want to clearly identify your expenses so you can understand exactly where you may be able to shave down some of those expenses. So I like to keep my sessions interactive. So when I talk, I want you to respond. So you would see that a lot of the expenses for this particular person is spent on food. I know a lot of people like to eat at various different restaurants. So tell me in the chat some of the places you like to eat, what type of food you like to eat. Where is that food money going normally for you? In the chat. I see soup, syrup, Popeyes. Oh, that Pinda lady likes food. Wendy's, pizza, sushi. Yes, twisted lime. Sam's. Oh, that's a new one. I don't know Sam's. Super Value. Yes, Super Value. Those are a lot of the places people like to go and spend their money on food, but Super Value may be a good option. So if you buy your food, you stay home and cook, that may allow you to save some money. So we're going to move on. And that'll take us to our first polling question, if that can come up on the screen. And all of these polls are anonymous, so nobody knows how you're responding. I just want to get an idea of who is on the line and what kind of saving bracket you may be in. So if we can have the first polling question, please, on the screen. So the polling question says, I currently have this much in saving. How much money do you have in saving? Now, Central Bank says the majority of the people have less than $1,000 in savings. But I'm hoping that since this is the CFA Society, the rate may be a bit better here today. So let's see, we're up to 65%. Let's see if we could get some more people to respond. Y'all are doing well so far. Keep going, keep going. I currently have this much in savings. 1 to 500, 501 to 1,000, 1,001 to 5,000, over 20,000. Which category are you in? We're up to 80, about 80%. Can we have a few more people come in there and respond? Okay, I'm going to end the poll now so you can see the results. And we have a variety of people on the call today. We have about 20% in the 1 to 500, 30% in 1,000 to 500, which is good, I believe. And then we have another 20% in the over 20,000, which is excellent. And the key here is for you to start to think about how much you have saved. And if you did have an emergency, would you be able to address that emergency? Do you have sufficient funds to be able to address that emergency without having to borrow it from someone? So we'll move on. So why should you have a budget? You can have a budget for an emergency fund. You just don't know when an accident may happen. Anything may take place in your home that may need to be fixed. You may want to manage your debt. You may have a mortgage that you want to pay down. You may want to save for a particular goal. Maybe you want to buy a car, or maybe you just want to save for retirement. And every month and every pay cycle, you want to put a little bit aside and water that tree. So at the end of your career, of your working career, you can retire successfully because you're going to have sufficient money to be able to do that. And one of the things that COVID-19 did teach us is that we need to be prepared for the unexpected. And that's exactly what COVID-19 was. If you was a person or a company that wasn't financially prepared for COVID, you really had a rough experience during the past 2 years. And I hope that if you had that experience, you learned something from it and you're putting things in place to secure the future. Some of the steps you can use to have a better future is you can manage your debt better. You don't want to be this person walking through life, struggling, carrying a load of debt on your back. Every pay cycle, you're worried, you're borrowing from everybody. You don't want to be that person. You want to create a budget. It's, like I said, something where you can clearly see the streams of income you have and where that money is being spent, so you could know what adjustments you need to make. You can then start to save. So every paycheck, you put something aside, whether that's $50, whether that's $100, whether it's a percentage of your salary. You want to start to put something aside every paycheck to be sure that at retirement time, you have sufficient money to be able to take care of yourself. And these are some of the conversations that you need to start to have with yourself now, with your family members now, with your children now. If you start saving when you're young, in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 60s, you'll be able to live off of that benefit and off of the savings that you were doing years ago. So how do you keep things simple? You want to be able to track your expenses by week or month. You want to be able to pay your bills on time. Is there anybody like me in the chat who hate paying late fees? I hate paying late fees. I hate to see a bill with late fees on it that I could have avoided. If you're like me and you hate paying late fees, in the chat say, I hate paying late fees. Yeah, Katrina, I hope I pronounced your name right. She hates paying late fees too. And you can easily avoid that. On your cell phone, there is a calendar. And in that calendar, you can set reminders to pop up whenever you need to pay a bill or to be reminded of something. So you can use your phone for something other than pictures. You could use your phone to help you save some money. And then you want to limit the borrowing to necessities. Necessities is not your super fabulous birthday party. A necessity is not your trip to Dubai. Those things are not necessities. A necessity is something that you would need that would allow you to keep a normal or average standard of living. It's not extravagant, it's not too low, but it allows you to keep a standard of living. And then you want to keep your goals realistic. So for some of you that are in the 1 to 500 or the 500 to 1,000 category, and you know you want to increase your savings by Christmas time, you have about 6 months of the year left. So if you take $1,000, and you can again use your cell phone, get that calculator out, put in $1,000, divide that by 6 to give you how much money you need in a month. And that came out to $166. So if you save $166 every month from now until December, you will have $1,000. And if you break that down into weeks, if you save $41 every week, you'll have $1,000 by Christmas time. And as simple as that sound is just getting you into the habit of saving. And you put that $42 aside every week and you start to see that grow, you're going to get excited and you're going to want it to grow more. And you may decide, I'm going to put $50 this week. And before you know it, you will be to that 1,000, to that 2,000, to that 3,000 and more. Some of the other things that you can do is break the overspending. If you keep a budget just for your everyday things, you'll be better to save. You'll be able to save more. If you set a budget when you go into the food store, you'll be able to save more. You don't have to have the apple, the orange, the grape, the pears, the bananas. Pick 2 and keep moving. You don't have to have chicken, steak, lobster, and lamb every week. Pick 2 and keep moving. Set a budget when you go into the food store. It is going to save your life. And then you want to use cash instead of credit. So if you're a shopper, like I am sometimes, and we go shopping, if we use the credit card, we tend to forget. So we go in one store and we swipe, and we go in the second store and we swipe, and then we go in the third store and we swipe. And we totally forget how much money we spent until the month end and we see the credit card bill and we say, I did not need that second outfit. I didn't need that next pair of shoes. I didn't need any more makeup or lipstick. So these are the kind of things that you want to put into place that will help you in your everyday life. I see Hector has a question. Do we take questions now or at the end? Oh, your question is cash back credit cards really beneficial? I think you have to really look at the terms. Keep in mind that when you have a credit card, you have an annual fee whether you use it or not. So that annual fee is somewhere between $120, probably $150, whether you use it or not. And if you're late, you have some late fees. And that's normally somewhere between 16 to 18%. So you really have to look at it to see if your cash back is working out to the fee that you initially paid at the beginning. I see another question. How about the AA points on a credit card if you pay only 9% interest? I think that's a difficult question for me to answer right now, Ione. I think I may have to come back to that one. I'm not sure what AA points are. Is that American Express? I think we're gonna have to come back to that one. So I'll keep that one in mind, Ione, and we can come back to that one. Another way for you to keep things simple is, American Airlines. Well, one thing with American Airlines, if you have to pay for everything, and please don't have a third bag. You're gonna pay $200 for that bag, and you're gonna be mad with yourself. So that's another thing. Whenever you're traveling, I know some of us have not traveled for a while. I believe some of the rules on these airlines have changed, so you want to pay close attention to those things. And you want to cut your spending. And the only way you would be able to cut your spending is if you know exactly where you're spending. So it would be important for you to document where your money is being spent. Another way that you can save more is to boost your income. So you may have a normal 9-to-5 job, but there may be other skills that you have. Maybe you're a baker, or maybe you're a hair braider, or maybe you can sew really well, or maybe you can teach an online course. But there can be different ways that you can boost your income, which will allow you to save more. That'll take us to the polling question number 2. Can we have that on the screen, please? Polling question number 2 says, I would save more money, but I eat or drink my favorite treat several times a week. I go out every weekend. I go for a super fabulous vacation every year. I have a mortgage. I have a student loan. I have medical expenses. I lend to my friends, my family, my neighbors, everyone. I lend. Or H, I have expenses that are not listed above. Again, all of these questions are anonymous, so you can vote freely. Nobody knows how you're voting. We just want to have an idea of the different people on the call, and we want you to start thinking about what you're doing with your money. We have about 50%. Keep going, you're doing very good on the poll. Everybody get in there and try to vote. Oh, these results are very, very interesting. I can't wait to share them with you.
Can we change our answer if we submitted an answer already?
I am not sure. I don't believe the poll will allow you.
It doesn't look so. Okay, thank you.
75%, can we get a few more in there? We want to try to get at least 80% of you to respond. I know some of you may be on your phones and that may be a bit difficult to respond to the poll. All right. Okay, I will end the poll so you can see the results. So we have the majority of the people on the call have a mortgage. They're in the 30% bracket. And if that's the one thing that you're spending your money on, I'm proud of you. Very, very, very proud of you. Continue paying your mortgage on time. And then we have 50% of the people who say that they have an expense not listed above. That can be a variety of things. And for those who are in that category, I want you to truly assess where your money is being spent and if that thing is truly a priority for you. And then we have 25%, 24% of the people who eat or drink something extravagant at least once a week. And that's where their money is going. And I hope none of those people are any of the people in the 1 to 500 category, because if you reduce your treat at least maybe just to 2 days out of the week, you'll get to that $1,000 in no time. But thank you all so much for taking part in the poll, and we'll continue moving. So if you can look on the screen, this is just a very rough estimate. I think you would have seen it in the poll. So if your favorite treat is about $10 and you have that favorite treat 5 times a week, that's $50. So in a month's time, you spent $200 on your favorite treat. Think about if you need to have that treat every day. Next polling question, please. Now, I want y'all to be quicker to the gun. We're going to have the next polling question come up, and I want you to try to get in there and respond. But in the meantime, the key to these questions is for you to start to think about where you're spending your money. Where is that money going? Where is my money going? When I get that paycheck every month, what am I doing with it? If you're not paying a mortgage, I hope you're paying for some asset that you can physically see and touch that can bring you some value in the future. or it could be investments, but you can still see the value in that because you should be earning some interest. I would have more money if I would save more money if I had salary deductions for savings. So that money is coming out of my paycheck every month, going into some bank account that I am not touching. If I had an accountability partner or a financial advisor like Ms. Colley, and I met with that person once a quarter, twice a year, and we talked about my future and keep me on track with the goals that I want to achieve. If I had defined saving goals, it's a saving plan with clear goals, so I clearly know what my ultimate goal is for saving, and every paycheck I am working towards that. And then we have the people again who are not in any of those categories. So that could be a variety of things. So we have 75% of the people that have responded so far. I'm going to give you another few seconds to see if anybody else wants to get in there. All right. So I will end the poll for number 3. And the majority of you said, I would save more money if I had defined saving goals, a defined saving plan with clear goals. That is important. So I'm hoping that by the end of this session, you are starting to think about clearly what your saving goals are and try to think about how you're going to get there. Then we have 28% saying they can use a financial advisor or accountability partner, and 29% saying some other reason that is not on this list. And I'm hoping that that reason is something that you can clearly define, because if you can clearly define what is causing you not to save, then you will know how you at least can start to get some ideas on how to address it. And then we have 18% saying if they had salary deductions, they would be able to save more. And salary deductions, if your current employer doesn't have a pension that you contribute to, it is something that you can set up on your own. You can go to any of the credit unions. I know that they are very good with that kind of thing. You can go to any of the credit unions and you can sign up, and you can have salary deductions coming straight out of your paycheck, going into a savings account that will earn interest for you and that you will have when you retire. So we're going to move on. And we're going to talk about creating a monthly budget. And a budget is nothing more than a list of all of your income. You're going to sum it up, all of your expenses, sum it up. You're going to calculate the difference and you're going to track it. And if you are paid on a monthly basis, I would say you should create your budget by month, because it will allow you to better track your income and your expenses. So what you see on the screen is a template or a sample of a basic budget, very, very basic. And the reason it's so basic is because if you keep it simple, you would have a better chance of preparing one and keeping it current as you have different changes in your life. So in this particular exercise, the person has an income of $2,000. And this is just a very rough estimate of something that you can prepare for yourself. And you want to make your best estimate of these different expenses so you can have an idea of where you are financially, so you could know how you need to plan for your future and for your retirement. So this person makes $2,000 a month. They have rent that they need to pay. They have some content insurance that they have. They have a car. They need to pay the insurance on the car. They buy gas for the car, and they have to maintain the car. Then they have to pay utilities. So they have electricity bill, a water bill, a cell phone bill, cable bill. And then they go to the food store and they go and they spend $190. And once a month, they like to go to a restaurant and have something nice to eat. And then they have personal expenses. So they like to keep their clothes clean. They take them to the laundry. They like to get groomed. So they go to the barber shop or the hair salon and get their hair done. And they have some medication that they need to buy. And in the other category is where you have your tithes and you want to pay that 10% because you want God to bless the 90. And then you have gifts or online shopping. I know that 40 may be low for some online shopping. And then you have any kind of entertainment that you may like to do. And again, this is just a very basic budget, just so you can have an idea. So in total, the expenses are $1,700. And that is taken from the $2,000 income. And that leaves you with about $300. And of that $300, you want to take out another $100 just to cover any additional expenses that you may not have prepared for. You know, something always happens that you didn't prepare for. You get a flat tire, a pipe bursts in the house, you need to buy a particular thing that you didn't plan for. And then you want to save about 10% out of every paycheck. So this person saves $200 and that leaves you with $0. And if you notice on this budget, I don't have any loans. And if this person had loans, this budget would look completely different. I don't have any expenses relating to children. And if this person had children, this budget would look completely different. I didn't include anything about, I did include the online shopping, but I know that that is an area that's picking up a lot. People are doing a whole lot more online shopping. I think being locked up has caused people to feel like they have to shop somewhere, so they're shopping online. But what you need to do is prepare something like this for yourself, just to be able to see where you are. Where am I currently on any given month? What am I doing with my money? If I have an emergency, am I able to pay for that emergency? When I retire, how have I been putting money aside for that retirement? Have I considered at 60, 65, when there is no more income, but expenses still remain, how am I gonna be able to pay off those expenses? So this is something that I think everybody should do. I know I did it myself, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. I was a consultant, so business was fluctuating. I wanted to know exactly where I was going, and making sure that I am on track. And it's something that you should do to be sure you don't want to be caught off guard. You don't want retirement to be creeping up on you and you have no idea on what your retirement is going to look like. And please don't put your retirement in somebody else's hand. Don't be thinking that somebody else is going to be able to provide for you during retirement, especially if you haven't had that conversation with the person to find out if that is what they're going to do. Do not put that in somebody else's hand. You want to be able to secure your own future. And then you don't want to be a burden on anybody else. So you want to be able to take care of yourself during retirement. That brings us to polling question number 4. Can we have polling question number 4 up? Thank you. I currently have money set aside for a business that I want to start, a major investment opportunity I want to pursue, a specific asset I want to purchase. I want a home. I'm tired of renting. I want to buy my own home. So when retirement comes, I am done paying off this house and I don't have to worry about rent anymore. I need a car. I need a new car. This car is just about done. I want a boat. Maybe I have some excess that I can put into a boat. Maybe I want some rental property that's going to produce some income for me during my retirement. So I would have less worries during retirement time. I currently have a pension plan that's available to me when I retire. In addition to that pension plan, I have additional investments and savings for when I retire. I'm currently putting aside money for inheritance for my children and other loved ones. Or I'm putting money aside for something that is not listed above. Again, I'm seeing people in that category. I'm trusting that you have prioritized where your money is going. So we're up to 65%. Can we get a few more people to get in there and vote, vote, vote? All right, we're up to 69%. Keep voting. Y'all are doing very, very good. All right. We're up to 80%. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Okay. I'm going to end the poll now. These are the results. I think I lost the poll. What did I do with it? Okay, it's back. Okay, so we have the majority of the people. We have 45%, which is very good. 45% of the people said that they have a retirement plan. Give yourself a round of applause because that is excellent. It is excellent that you have a plan, and I'm trusting that your plan is sufficient for what you want to do during retirement, because having a plan is one thing, and then ensuring that your plan is sufficient is another. Because planning to have $20,000 at retirement is not going to work. You're going to need a whole lot more than $20,000, especially if you tend to live a few more years beyond 65. Then we have some people, we have a tie with saving for an investment opportunity and saving for an asset. And what is good about those two things is that you clearly have a goal. So you clearly have a goal on what it is you want to do with this money that you're saving, and that's important, because if you don't know what you want to do with your money, somebody is coming to tell you what to do with it. Another thing with knowing exactly what you want to do with your money is knowing how much it's going to cost. So if you know you want to buy a particular house or a particular car, it's good to know how much that house is going to cost you, how much that car is going to cost you, or how much that investment opportunity is going to cost you. Then we have some people in the other category, about 26%. Again, for those people, I'm trusting that what you have decided to put your money in is something that is going to reap some benefits for you. And then we have some people that want to be entrepreneurs. They want to start their own business. That's always good. And then we have some people that want to leave some inheritance for your children and their loved ones. And the thing about inheritance for your children and loved ones, more important than leaving them money or things, is what you put into them. So what values have you instilled in them? That's going to be very important, because you don't want them to take that hard-earned money that you worked with and squander it. So this inheritance that you're going to leave them with some instructions on how to use that inheritance so they can have inheritance for the children after them. So that's it for poll number 4. Oh, one more poll. Poll number 5. I have plans in place to have sufficient money to take care of myself when I retire at 65 or before. And again, this is a very, very rough estimate. Yes, I have a plan. No, I don't have a plan. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough. And you see what I calculated for that very, very rough estimate. That is if you're spending $150 a week for 52 weeks out of the year, and you plan to live until you're 95. You're going to need over $200,000. And that is very, very, very rough estimate. Now, if you plan to die before 95, then you may not need as much. And if you're not going to spend $150, that isn't much either. Because if you've went into the food store recently, you'll know that $150 is not a lot at all. If you have cable, you would know that $150 is not a lot. If you have a house that you would still need to maintain, you will know that $150 is not a lot. And this is not to scare you or to frighten you. It's for you to start to think and to start to prepare and to start to put some things in place so you're not stressed and so that you're not worried, but that you are prepared. All right, y'all are doing very good with the poll. We are up to 70%. Can we have some more people get in there and vote? Y'all are doing very, very good. Very good. Yes, I have a plan. No, I don't have any savings currently for retirement. I'm not sure that I will have enough. The good thing is you're still alive and you can prepare. So that is the good thing. All right, we are just at about 80%, and I am going to share the results of the poll. So there you have it. More than 50% is not sure that they will have enough. And the good thing, like I said, is that you're still alive and you can start preparing now so you can be a little more sure that you will have enough or a reasonable amount to be able to take care of yourself. And those who are in the know, you definitely can start to put something together. If at minimum, you're just taking 10% out of your salary every paycheck, if you are able to. And if you're not able to take 10%, take something. Just get into the habit. Get into the habit of putting something aside, and you'll see that grow. I promise you that. If you are committed to just putting something aside out of every paycheck and not touching it, within 3 months, you'll be surprised of how much money you would have saved. And for those of you who have a plan, congratulations. Continue with the plan. Do not break the plan. Don't borrow against your pension. Don't lend your pension to anybody. You keep that pension until you're 65 because you're going to need it. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. Okay. So I want to see each of you in the future, all 105 of you. In the future, I want to see you with a big bag of money at retirement. I want to see you financially strong, and I want to see you with no debt. And that is absolutely positively possible. And if you are currently in debt, all is not lost. Once you start to put a plan in place and you work towards that plan, slowly but surely you will get there. These are some of the resources that I would have used to put this presentation together. And that CIBC health check is very interesting. You may want to check it out. But what it allows you to do is it asks you a series of questions about yourself. Where you are financially, whether you have insurance, what kind of savings you have, and then it gives you a report at the end so you can see what areas you may need to make some improvements on. And then the first resource gives you ideas of what people who are debt-free currently do. And the second one gives you some information about mistakes that you can avoid. So my name again is Anishka Colley. That is my contact information. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's my email. That's my cell number. And it was a pleasure being with the CFA Society today. Thank you very, very much for having me. And I'll take any questions, and I hope that I am able to give you a reasonable response. Jerome, how are you facilitating the questions?
No, once again, if you guys want to ask a question, you can either raise your hand and you can ask it directly, or if you prefer, you can DM the host, CFA Society of the Bahamas, the host, your question, and Tiffany will ask it on your behalf.
The first question I see in here, what are your thoughts on the government passing mandatory pension legislation?
I think it's important. I think pension legislation is important for the protection of people. I feel that some people can work for a company for many years, 20 years, 30 years, and they walk out of the door with nothing. And I think that's unfair. So I feel that it's important that something is put in place to protect employees. And even if there may be some contribution that needs to be made to it, that will protect people from themselves, because after 30, 40 years of working, you may not have thought about what next at 65. And at that point, you're going to be happy if there is something that you would have been contributing to over 40 years. You're going to be so happy that that money is there for you at 65. So I hope that they can put something in place that can work for both parties. I hope that can happen.
Okay, thank you. Another question that we have is, do you encourage having a separate retirement savings than the pension savings plan from your workplace?
I think it depends on what you're getting from the workplace. And keep in mind, when you leave that workplace, those pension plans have a particular way of working. So at different periods of time, they vest. So after a certain number of years, so if you work for them 5 years, you get a certain percentage. If you work for 10 years, you get a certain percentage. So you need to work out what exactly you may be getting if you leave at a particular point in time. And I think that's something that we don't think about again. We could be working for a company for many, many years and have no idea what we're leaving with when we walk out the door. So if your company has a pension plan and you're on this call, when you go to work on Monday, find out, what am I going to get if we sabotage today? What's going to happen if I leave in 5 years from now? What's going to happen in 10 years from now? Because you want to be sure of what it is that you would be getting, and then you would know how you may need to subsidize that. Because all of those plans work differently, and it's important for you to be able to understand exactly what you're going to get. And don't be afraid to ask HR. Don't be a bully. Just go and ask. I would like to know the status of my pension plan with this company. What would
Agreed.
happen? What would I get if we sabotage today? And what would happen if I leave in 5 years or in 10 years? What would be the difference? And it's important for you to know that. And if you are actively employed and you leave a company and get your pension, please put that pension someplace else. Don't spend it. The pension is for you at 65. So if you leave employers and you get your pension, you make sure you put that in a place where you are earning some interest on it and it's still available for you at 65.
Yes, agreed. A lot of people don't ask questions about their pension plans. So when it's time for them to leave, it's like they don't know what they contributed.
Yeah.
Okay, another question that we have is, what are your thoughts on getting rid of debt first and then investing?
I would say get rid of debt first, especially if you are, I want to go back to this so you can have a look at it. One of the things with creating a budget is you can see exactly where you're spending your money. And then you want to prioritize your expenses. So you want to number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when you get to number 10, which should be the least important thing, you could start to decide whether number 10 is needed, whether you can reduce some of the money that you're spending in number 10. But you want to number them so you could know what is priority. And number 1, if you have a mortgage, that's priority. One thing I have always learned over the years is people will offer you something to eat, but they don't necessarily want you to come live with them. So make sure that you stay current with your mortgage payments if you have one, and make sure that the terms of your mortgage, you understand it. So you understand the interest that you're paying on your mortgage. You understand if you are making principal payments in addition to the regular payments, what that means. In terms of paying off debt first and saving, if you are paying off a personal loan, which is somewhere in the category of 18 to 21% interest, or a credit card debt, you want to tackle those before you start to save, because the interest on them is the interest is way more than what you probably borrowed originally. And what I find is a lot of people take out loans and they don't even know the interest that they're paying. They just know that they're paying. In addition to people with mortgages, They're paying their mortgage every month, but they have no idea what the balance on the mortgage is. Find these things out so you would know exactly where you're heading. If you are paying your mortgage and you have insurance tied to your mortgage, you are also paying insurance interest on your mortgage because they added your insurance to your mortgage. And the reason they did that is because you didn't guarantee them that you were going to pay the interest, the insurance. But if you can guarantee them that you're going to pay that insurance separate from the mortgage, you can save on the interest. So you want to have a good understanding of what you are paying. Any loan that you have, you want to understand what that balance is, what the interest is that you're paying, how much longer I have to pay this. And you want to be looking at that account. Don't just go to the counter and pay. You want to know what is the balance, because other things can be in that balance that you don't have any idea of because you're not asking questions.
This next question has to do with paying off a mortgage. So this person wants to know, they don't have a second income, but they need to reduce or they want to pay off their mortgage. They currently pay off by a salary deduction. Do you have any tips on paying off the mortgage?
If you can find a way to subsidize your income, I would say that would be the best way. In addition to that, if you go through this exercise of creating your budget, number your expenses so you could see what is priority and what may not be. And if you start to trim down those expenses that are not priority, you will have more money that you would be able to apply to your mortgage. But you have to be mindful of how you're spending. What are you spending your money on? If your mortgage is priority, make it priority. You don't have to go on vacation this year. Go on a staycation at Atlantis or Bahamas or the Rio or the Warwick and focus on paying your mortgage if that is priority for you. If you go over PI, it's just like you went away. They treat you like a tourist.
Someone wants to know, what is a fair percentage that should go to enjoyment and fun expenses, or what you call luxury?
Again, you see what I put for entertainment, $35. Again, and I had $50 for restaurant, if that was what you wanted to do. And then I had another $40 for gifts and shopping, so online shopping. So you have to determine what is priority for you. What is priority for you? Is getting rid of some of that debt so you could feel some relief priority for you? Would you like to feel more comfortable just not having to worry about particular bills? Make that a priority for you. And if you make the sacrifices on certain things, if only for 3 months, you will see a significant difference. It'll be significant. And once you can get your expenses in line where you are comfortably paying, you will start to feel relief. Relief is invaluable. You can't put a value on that. And if cutting down on going out or doing something, paying Netflix is going to give you some relief in some other areas, you may really want to consider it. And I think too, what we have to do is not pay attention so much to what other people are doing. I think it's important for you to focus on you. Focus on you and focus on what is priority for you. what somebody else is doing in their life should not be your concern, because their circumstances may be completely different from yours. And don't allow anybody to pressure you into doing something that may not be best for you. Yes, everybody is going on vacation this year. You're going to be the only one not going. You have some other priorities. Yes, everybody is going to that ball. You sure you don't want to go? Yeah, you have some other priorities. So you have to focus on you and focus on what it is that you want to achieve, because you want to be able to enjoy life now, and then you want to be able to enjoy it 10 years from now, and another 10 years from now, and another 10 years from now. You don't want to just enjoy it now, and then the rest of the years you're miserable because you took on too much debt.
Okay, another question. What advice would you give parents to help teach their children about money and savings in order to safeguard any inheritance?
The advice I would give parents is start off with probably giving them an allowance. If they do things around the house, they wash the dishes, they clean the yard, they clean the room, they wash the car, give them an allowance and teach them how to manage that allowance you give them. If they want to, you give them $20 and they want to buy something, show them how they could spend some and save some, because next week they may want to buy something else and they may need that little bit that they save to be able to get it. So you have to teach them small ways like that, how they could learn how to manage their own money. And then you have to teach them the value of money itself, in terms of what it takes to make money, what you have to do to earn money, and how important it is that when you earn that money, you spend it responsibly. And as they get older, you want to share more with them. You may not want to burden them with all of the expenses of running the house at a younger age. But as they get older, you want to be able to share with them what it takes to run a home. This is the kind of expenses it would take to run a home. This is the kind of money you would need to make in order to run a home of this particular size. But you want to work with them depending on their age. And if they are very young, I would say starting off with showing them how to manage an allowance.
Next question is, given that banks no longer offer interest, how does the average Bahamian who doesn't have a lot to invest go about earning money on what they do have?
The credit unions work very well with people like that. They have various saving plans. So they really work with people who may not be making a whole lot of money, but want to start to put something aside, the credit unions. And what I learned a few months ago is that the post office actually has a saving plan or a savings account. But you can only save up to $5,000 in there, and they give you up to 5%. So that again is them encouraging people to save. And you are not going to get 5% much places, but it's capped at $5,000. So once your account reach $5,000, you can't continue to save there. That means that you have grown outside of that and you need to place your money someplace else. But the credit unions definitely work with people who want to put some kind of saving plan in place, even if they're not making a whole lot of money. And they have other institutions that have saving plans that they consider ASUs. They have some organizations that offer those. So you pay anywhere, maybe somewhere like $50 to $100 a month. And then after a certain period of time, you get it back with the interest. You have some organizations that offer a Christmas savings. So you start at the end of the year and you save something every week. And then at the end of the year, you get that money back. Another option is central bank stock. That is very, very safe. And the interest rates there range anywhere from 3 to 6%. It used to be easier. Now, if you're not currently an owner of any of the stock, you would need to get a broker to assist you with that. But if you need any more information on any of that kind of thing, you can reach out to me and I could provide you with information. So let me go back to my contact. That's my contact.
Okay, the next question is, do you see credit cards as a red flag, or is it okay to use once incentives for spending is given?
Credit cards are short-term loans, and you have to look at it as what it is. So this institution gave you a card and told you, you can use this for a short-term loan. You have 30 days to pay it back. So you decide that you want to buy something. You taking that credit card is saying, in 30 days, I am going to pay you back. Now, if you don't pay back in 30 days, there are significant penalties for you. I think a credit card has its purpose. So you know that if I spend $5,000 or $10,000 today, I know on day one, I know within 30 days, I need to have that $1,000 to pay the credit card company back. That is the purpose of the credit card. It's a short-term loan. It's not for you to run your life. And a credit card is also necessary. You would find that some places you go don't take cash. So you would need to have a credit card. If you travel a lot, you want to rent a car. Some car companies don't rent a car if you don't have a credit card. So in those kind of instances, you need a credit card. If you want to book a hotel room, you need a credit card. But keep in mind, that's a short-term loan. In 30 days, you need to be able to pay that back, or you're going to pay 18 to 21% of interest and on top of any late fees.
We just have a few more questions. Is it wise to use a portion of your severance or pension to put on the principal of your mortgage?
That's a tough one. That's a if you have retired and you got your pension and you still have to pay your mortgage, you still have to pay your mortgage. And the money has to come from somewhere. So you can't have the pension and have the house. So if the house is important, you need some place to live, I would say pay your mortgage. But if you still have the ability to earn income, maybe you don't have to work 5 days a week, but you still have the ability to create income. Because if you're still alive, you're going to need to have income. You're going to need to be able to replace that money. But your home is going to be important because you want that to be the last thing you have to worry about in retirement, where you're going to live. That should be the last thing you want to worry about, where you're going to live. If you have a home, your home is an asset. You may not need the home as big as you once had it. Maybe all of your children grew up and they're gone. So you don't need the 5-bedroom house anymore. So those are the kind of things that you can consider when you're in retirement. Don't get attached to all of the memories of this room and that room. Think about what is necessary now at this stage? Is it still necessary to have this big house and only 2 people in it? So you want to consider all of those kind of things. Maybe you could figure out how you can portion off a piece of your house and sublet it so you can be able to generate income. But if you take your pension to pay your mortgage off, you still have to weigh doing that, because you need your home, but you also need to be able to have money to live off of as long as you're alive.
The next question, what do you do when your expenses are more than your salary? Especially if you are already cutting back in every possible way, but the bills are still overwhelming.
Again, you're gonna have to decide what is priority. Write down your list of expenses and number them and see what is priority. And everything cannot be number 1 or number 2 or number 3. Write them down and see what is priority. And you may need somebody to help you, because for you, everything may be number 1. So you may need to have a second opinion on really what is number 1, and number 2, and number 3. And if you are really strapped that tight, that means that you are living above your means. So something about your life isn't in alignment. If you are spending way more money than you're making, something isn't aligned. So you have to figure out, how am I going to cut some of these expenses? Or how am I going to generate more income? What am I able to do to generate more income? And when I talk to different people, they normally have different ways they can create income, or different items that they may own that they can get rid of, that they can sell to get income, but they're not thinking about it that way. You may have so many assets at your disposal that you may not use every day, that you may not need anymore. And if you sell them, you can generate income. But some people, they may need some assistance with pulling those things out, as well as people may have a skill. They may be very good at a particular thing, and that thing can be used to generate income, but they may need some help with exactly how to pull that out and how to make that something they can package to be able to make money from it. But start with creating that list of expenses, number them so you can know what is the most important one for you.
Okay, we'll just take one more question. This person just wanted you to provide percentages for some of the other guidelines. You gave 5% for flex money and 10%. Are there any other percentages that you recommend when it comes to your income?
I would say you have to see what's comfortable for you. And those percentages were low. They were on the low end. The 10% was on the low end. It was just for you to really start to get into the habit and see where you can increase. I think what's important too is for you, if you're paying rent, see how much of your monthly salary is really going towards rent. Because I find that rent is something that tends to eat up a lot of people's money. And see if, I want to say your rent shouldn't be, let me go back to my thing. Okay, so this person was making 2,000 and their rent was $600. So that was about 30% of their salary, their monthly salary. And I would say that your rent really shouldn't be much more than that. And all I did was I took the $600 and I divided it. Divided it over the 2,000 to get the 30%. So if your rent is more than that, you're in a lot of debt already before you start. So you gotta figure out if you may need to get a roommate or move back home for a while or find a cheaper place or figure out how you're going to subsidize your income or figure out which one of these categories you may need to trim down. Maybe you could get rid of the restaurant and the online shopping and the entertainment. And when you go to the grocery store, buy more of things that you like and eat at home more. I could tell you for sure, if you buy breakfast and lunch outside of your home, you're spending a whole lot of money. And you do that 5 days a week, you're spending a whole lot of money on food. And if you make the decision to pack lunch and buy lunch on Friday and treat yourself, you will save a lot of money.
Okay, I think that wraps up all of the questions that we have. We had a lot of questions. So obviously everyone was very interested in your presentation and you kept everyone engaged.
That's good. That's good. Now the next step is to implement. Now that you've listened and you learn and you have some tips, now my challenge to you is to decide on one thing that you're going to do within the next 7 days that's going to allow you to either increase your income or reduce your expenses. Just one thing, choose one.
Yes.
Choose-
Thank you very much, Anishka. It was very informative. I think we all took a lot from it. I saw from the chat, like people were very grateful for the information. A lot of it, we kind of think the same way because a lot of things you were saying, I was kind of saying to myself as well. So it's definitely a lot of valuable information that I think this is the first time I recall us actually doing something together with the society. So we greatly appreciate you joining us this evening. We look forward to collaborating with you again. Please feel free to reach out to the society, for maybe other educational stuff you may be doing that we could assist in. But thank you. And thank you everybody for attending. I noticed there were some questions on investments and that will be our topic next week Thursday at 6 o'clock. So be sure to tune in for that one as well. Anishka, do you have any last words before we close out?
Just thank you to the audience. They were very engaging. I mean, they kept me on my feet, that's for sure. They were responsive. They asked a lot of questions and I appreciate that. And it was a pleasure being with the CFA Society today.
All right, thank you. Thank you everybody for attending and have a good evening. We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good evening.